Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today, hasn't this been a long time coming? I think I've guested on this fella's podcast 2 or 3 times before I've managed to get him on. He has been on. He was on a Celebration blog pod, and he's like, "I'll come on anytime you want, man. I know how to spell stuff." I was like, "It's not quite what the podcast is, mate." But anyway, but live from the East Coast, the man, the newly branded Pop Culture Hour host, Johnny Grasso. How's it going?
How are you, man? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I'm good. It feels like this should have happened a long time ago. And we've just, I don't know, we've just been trading messages and doing stuff. And I just went, hang on. I wonder what Grasso's up to. I wonder if he's down for a chat in this, now that there's stuff going on. Yeah, how's lockdown life going? We always do a little bit of a COVID update. Obviously, things are pretty serious where you are. Not that we're going to get too heavy early on.
So I live in New Jersey in the United States, for your Australian listeners or worldwide listeners, I should say. And it's the hotbed, New York and New Jersey. I think New Jersey actually has more cases and deaths than New York now.
Wow.
So it's pretty bad over here. So we take lockdown pretty seriously. When I go out, I have a mask on, and I don't wear gloves because you have the mask on. So as long as you don't eat your hands, and I wash frequently, you're okay. Knock on wood, I've yet to get sick. I am in good health, thank God. So is my family and friends. It hasn't hit me too close. I did lose a coworker, which was kind of devastating. Wow. He was 31 years old. Yeah.
Whoa, goodness
31.
Me.
Yeah. But it's real, and you gotta be real careful. But you can beat it if you're careful.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I'm glad. I hope you're not too devastated about having to wear a mask outside, Johnny, and hiding that face of yours. But
stop it.
We're doing the video here. You managed to keeping it together pretty well. It looks like you're still getting it. You haven't gone all wild man. You're still managing to keep the grooming up and everything. Looking pretty cool still. Always handy on a podcast.
You're right. I got a face for radio. No, I went through my long hair phase, and so I know how to grow out my hair. So I had short hair my whole life, and then right around Celebration Orlando, it got to that length I wanted it, just in time for to meet my Star Wars friends. So I know how to grow out your hair and keep it looking decent. I know just when to trim, just when to do a little buzz. I've got it down to a science, and I have the little beard going. But like most men, I have trimmers and stuff for that.
Yeah, I haven't had a haircut in, I think about 6 months. So mine's getting a bit out of there. People know I'm starting to go grey as well. I've got these weird grey streaks. It's starting to look like Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2. He's got those weird streaky hair, that Whiplash. He's got those weird. It's starting to look a bit like that. I think I've got to.
And
as soon as we get out,
a Superman curl going.
Oh yeah, I know. I've got this Superman curl. We've got to keep it going while I've got the hair, mate. As you know, you got to enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I definitely my hairline receded. By the way, I can't believe we're talking about this, and we're loving it too. That's the sad part. Not only are we talking about it, but we're actually enjoying each other's company talking about this. But my hairline receded when I hit 30, but then it kind of froze, and I'm like, all right, hair, hang in there. By the time I'm 70, I probably won't care. Yeah. But if you can just make it to late 60s, early 70s, I'll be happy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my brother, who's younger than me, he lost his hair at a young age, and that was pretty, and I'm older, and I managed to hang on to it, so I was pretty lucky in that. But we're not really here to talk about hair. We're here to talk about Star Wars. This is a Star Wars podcast. Lots of stuff going on. We still keep getting news. So what's the big thing? What's the biggest news from your end? Let's drop that got you the most excited.
Well, that would be Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. And today, just more news just dropped about that, huh?
Yeah, so Timothy Olyphantastic, as have you ever heard that story? Have you ever heard that Kevin Smith story? Talk about Olyphantastic, but look it up on YouTube.
No.
I think where I think he was in a movie with him, and he was like, he was calling him Timothy Olyphantastic because Timothy Oliphant thought Timothy Oliphant was pretty good. I think so. That was a bit of a nickname he called himself. Is being cast in The Mandalorian. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Deadwood, all that kind of stuff, cowboys. And then it dropped today that he's going to be in the Boba Fett armor. So what's going on, Johnny? Is this a switch? Is it a bait and switch? Is this a Timothy Olyphant ain't wearing a mask all stint, is he? Surely.
Exactly. You don't cast someone who basically broke out in the late 90s in like teen edgy films and then grew into like a great leading man. You don't get him to be like a stunt double. No. So you're going to see his face. Otherwise, you could have just casted like a David Prowse stuntman type.
Yeah.
So, there's two ways we can go with this. Do you want me to take the first shot at it? Or?
Go for it. Hit me.
Yeah. So there's two ways we can go with this. One, and this is the one I do not agree with, is Tamora Morrison will do the voice of Boba Fett, and Timothy will just be the man in the armor, and he'll be the Boba Fett we know and love, and you'll hear Tamora's voice, and Timothy will be the actor in the armor, and you'll never see his face. Okay, that's one way they can go. Again, like we just discussed, probably not the way they're going to go, or else you would just hire a stuntman.
Yep.
So the second one is, it looks like we're going to get a passing of the guard. The show might start with Tamora Morrison as Boba Fett in the armor and passing it off to Oliphant's character one way or another, either stealing it or kind of like, did you ever see like The Mask of Zorro?
Yeah.
Where like the older Zorro trains the new Zorro, or like the dreaded, or even better, the Princess Bride, the dreaded
Pirate King
Roberts.
Oh yeah. I was going to say the Phantom, but that's a bit different because that's like your son takes over and then your next son takes over.
Yeah.
Is there a third where he's just passing himself off as Boba Fett, and then the real Boba Fett just turns up one day? So he's just telling everybody he's Boba Fett.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to go too.
Does that work? Like how? Hang on, we're gonna do a little live googling here. Timothy Olyphant, how tall is he?
He's reasonably tall. I'm gonna guess 6'1".
He's a reasonably big dude, isn't he? Like I find every time I do commentaries, I always get fixated on how. So yeah, he's 183 meters, so he's about as tall as I am, maybe slightly taller. So he's about 6'1". Yeah. So, and then. I wonder if you can figure out Jeremy Bullock's height. Here we go.
Well, I wouldn't. While you're looking at that,
they're saying they're around the same size. So okay, technically, I always thought that Boba Fett seemed quite small, short.
Right. Well, that's what happens when you stand next to Chewbacca.
Well, yeah, that's true. You don't reckon the height's a factor?
And Vader. Yeah, Vader.
Yeah, actually,
Vader
that's true.
Chewbacca.
Actually, he does hang around a lot of tall people, doesn't he?
Yeah. But you know what I was thinking? Don't forget, Boba Fett during this time period would be 40 years old. So Tamora Morrison, as he is now at what, 60 something?
Yeah, I think he's 59. I think when I was, yeah. So
he can't play Boba Fett straight. Like they'd have to do like that Marvel de-aging thing anyway.
Yeah.
So so if he could play, like he can play Rex, like he's about the same age as Rex with the clone aging.
Yep.
But like he can't play Boba Fett as is anyway. So he would either have to voice him or they'd have to de-age him like Marvel.
Yeah. Get some weird sort of, yeah. It's a bit of a twist, isn't it? Like it's a bit of a like a week ago everyone's like, oh, he's back. So the question is also, is that in that episode last year, The Mandalorian, the one where Hawes is sure that he turns up at the end of the episode and he's rocks up and Ming-Na Wen's on the ground and you hear is that even Boba Fett? Is that fake Boba Fett? If he's got the gear.
Right. Yeah, we don't know, but it's definitely makes, Hawes definitely proved it. Like it's the same sound as Empire. Like it's the sound he makes when he walks.
So you could be like, well, technically, it's not Boba Fett. It's Boba Fett's clothes, but it's not Boba Fett. This weird sort of like, if somebody had belled up Dave Filoni, at somewhere and be like, hey, man, was that Boba Fett in that episode? He could be like, nah, man, that wasn't Boba Fett. He technically would have been correct, perhaps, if it was Timothy Oliphant in a suit. I don't think that would have been actually him then, but, it does make it a little bit interesting. It's just, I don't know, how do you feel about all this stuff getting out? Do you want to be surprised? Would you rather be just surprised, or...
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Do you mind if I kind of take a minute to like give some background?
Do it, man.
So when episode 7 dropped, or no, I'm sorry, when episode 7 was announced, and images and plot lines and plot leaks and spoilers started to come out, I was Captain Spoiler. I wanted to consume every spoiler immediately. I loved it. I wanted to be spoiled. I wanted to know everything before I saw the movie, right? Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed episode 7. I love episode 7. It's actually my favorite of the sequel trilogy. Then I saw The Last Jedi, and the spoilers weren't, maybe, Lucasfilm tightened their ship up. There wasn't as many spoilers for episode 8 as there was 7. So I had no idea, for example, Snoke was going to die.
Yep.
So when Snoke died, my jaw hit the floor. I did not expect it. I was expecting him dying at the end of episode 9, and I was shocked. And then I realized after and then Luke Skywalker fucking died.
That's okay, man. Go swear away. You should see his face. Yeah. Poor Johnny, you're so conscious. Just the perfect guest. Right. Just roll on, my friend.
Luke Skywalker died, so I knew none of this, right? And I liked not knowing. So then Mr. Pro Spoiler became, I don't want to say I was anti-spoiler. Like if someone likes spoilers, hey, do what makes you happy, just don't tell me the spoilers. So like I completely turned around on my spoiler approach. So a long way to answer your question, yeah, I'm upset. If Boba Fett is in The Mandalorian, I'm upset they told us. If Tamora Morrison is in The Mandalorian, I'm upset they told us. If he ends up being Boba Fett or Rex, I'm upset they told us. If Ahsoka ends up being in The Mandalorian, I'm upset they told us or let it leak. Like, I am now, like, disappointed in them. So to answer your question in a long, long about way, like, I'm mad. Yeah. I wish they didn't.
I guess it's not... Lucasfilm aren't doing it. But if they're leaking like a sieve or someone's getting in there and letting stuff go, it's just weird because it's bigger stuff. Like I didn't go spoilers. I don't do spoilers, so I've been pretty spoiler free. And if you wade yourself through the internet with a little bit of caution, you can pretty much avoid most things if you want to. Like most people will tag spoilers, especially maybe not after the films come out or just before it comes out. You got to, mute hashtags and mute words and do all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, but in the case of this, because it's all like casting based, there's like, it's just there. There's no like tag and there's no nothing. There's sort of no way around it, is there? You can't hide.
No, they're just telling you.
Yeah.
And what kills me is, like, I understand you can't keep casting secret because agents want to get heat buzz for their clients, but you don't have to tell us who they're playing.
Yeah.
You want to say, all right, look, if it's Tamora Morrison, it's 50-50. It's either Rex or Boba Fett, or he's doing the, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I get it. Like, that's a no-win situation. But you can say Rosario Dawson's casting the Mandalorian without telling us who.
Yeah. I was thinking about the Tamora Morrison thing the other day, because people are like, oh, well, he's either playing Boba Fett or he's playing Rex. Like, in that first series, the guy who, there's like Werner Herzog wants Baby Yoda, and he's got his mate, like his kind of dorky scientist mate, he's got the glasses on, the first guy in Star Wars with glasses, and he's got the cloner like symbol on his arm. Like maybe Rex isn't actually playing, like Tamora's not, he's playing clones. Like maybe they go to a cloning facility and there's just clones, or there's just runoffs, or like he doesn't necessarily like have to be Rex. He could, like, if they've got a connection to that cloning facility, it could just be like, oh, here's a bunch of freaking clones that we've had here for years who just, wash the floors and do stuff. They haven't really explored that. I mean, it kind of makes sense there was that little cloning connection in, what, because we don't even really know what they want Baby Yoda for. That's still something that we don't even know what they were planning to do with him. They kind of had him on that little table and running some tests and stuff, but it could be a little left field, could be doing, and then he could play to age, like he'd be the same age as Rex, but he would just be some random clone.
Right. Now, see, if they didn't announce, I would have liked to have heard that if they didn't announce, like, Boba Fett.
Yeah, your brain immediately goes to Boba Fett. I mean, I guess if you're getting him in there and he's playing 3 or 4 characters or whatever he's doing, but look, it's just good. He's just back in Star Wars, really. I don't know about the Ahsoka Tano in live action. I finished watching Rise of Skywalker on Disney Plus the other night. I'd started it, and then I had about 40 minutes to go, and I watched the end of it, and I was like, it's a bit too early to go to bed, and I'll just flick around. And I got back to, I'd started doing a Clone Wars rewatch, but I only got about 7 episodes in, so I was like, I picked that up, and I was so surprised how shoddy that animation looks in those early after watching those new ones. I couldn't believe it. Looked like the previs stuff from the new ones. Like it was crazy how primitive it looked. Have you gone back recently on Clone Wars at all and had a look at it?
No, I'm a Clone Wars fan, but it definitely was like a one and done for me. I think I did rewatch a couple of my favorite arcs. Like I rewatched the Yoda arc. I rewatched Brothers. I don't know if that was the name of the arc, but Darth Maul coming back with his brother, and the Witches of Dathomir. So I rewatched a couple of my favorite arcs, but that's really it.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I went back to season 1, because season 1 was like too much about the clones. The season 1 and 2. Like I didn't really start liking Clone Wars until season 3.
So I sort of threw it out a little bit. It's weird. It was slightly confronting. Like I'm sure when I started watching it last year, and I'm sure I was just like, this is just what it looks like. But then after going back and watching those new ones that just dropped, and just like Ahsoka running around like a little tank top, like she's like 14 running around in this like little outfit, I'm like, oh man, they just like, different time, 2008 or whatever.
Yeah, I remember addressing that one time on a podcast, and I was like, did anyone like see what she was wearing when she left the Jedi Temple?
Yeah.
Like, I went to strict dad mode. I was like, dude, cover
You're not
up.
going outside.
Like, what are you doing?
Just from a practical point of view, you might be going to an ice planet. You're going to get shot at. You got to put some armor on at least or something. Like, I know you're good with a lightsaber and all, but shit. Get in there.
Jesus. Cover up, please.
Cover up, Ahsoka. Oh man, did you? Where you sitting on Rise of Skywalker now? The dust has settled. Have you gone back and watched it? When's the last time you watched it?
I did. Probably 2 days ago.
Oh right,
like, it's my
about
go-to.
the same time I did. Yeah. Now, yeah.
Yeah, like it's my go-to. And I'm gonna watch it probably 70 times, like in the next 6 months to a year. It's gonna be my background noise. When you're doing when I'm doing work at home, which is a lot lately, I'm actually I'm not in my normal podcast spot. You can't see because I have your amazing logo behind me, but I'm actually in my little office space and not my podcast space, because from where I'm sitting, you can see my TV and I have it. I can just watch and not even hear it, but just watch it. And that's the beautiful thing about Star Wars in general. You can just watch it. They're, especially the prequels, just visually stunning. So I watched it, to answer your question, I watched it a couple days ago. And where do I stand on it? I'm not a big fan of the entire movie. I probably love 30% of it. Mm-hmm. I probably just can't stand another 30% of it. And the other 70%, no, wow, my math is so bad. The other 40% is... That's funny. I did math wrong. Star Wars added up. New podcast. We brought you spelt.
We've gone from English to maths. Yeah. Is there anything that sort of surprises you? Is there sort of something different that you kind of find in the movie you liked or you didn't like at the time? It feels like it's a series of moments the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, that moment's cool. You kind of remember the moments because like you said, the entire thing's a bit of a, it's the sum of its parts is a bit all over the shop, but it's got amazing moments and stuff like that. Like, is there stuff now that you go back and go like, oh, actually, I appreciate that a lot more than I did at the time? Or is there stuff now it's like, I thought that was cool, but that ain't working for me now?
Well, the Palpatine stuff never worked for me. I shouldn't say that. The Rey being a Palpatine stuff never worked for me.
Yep.
The beginning, the first act of the movie. So when I first saw the movie, both times in the theater, the first 2 times in the theater, I didn't like the beginning. I thought it was rushed. I thought it was hectic. I thought it was like all over the place. And then when I watched it at home, now that first 15, 20 minutes of the movie is my favorite part.
Okay.
You know, so that grew on me. So like I just love like the Poe, Finn, Rey dynamic. That trifecta, the glib, the stickimithia, the chatterbox, the flirting. They're definitely flirting. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely like sexual tension there between Rey and Poe, I feel. Like
Poe and everyone, really.
Yeah. Poe's just a space flirt, I guess. And I do give Lucasfilm credit. Like Foe. That's funny. Foe never happened, and Poe never hooked up with anybody.
No,
and he tried.
Yeah, he tried once on screen, struck out. You know.
Yeah.
He would have just been at that party. He would have just been like, all right, what else we got going on around here? You know, everyone's having a good time. Yeah. We'll have a few drinks. Poe ain't going home empty-handed at the end of that party.
I know. No way, dude.
Yeah.
And the Ben Solo stuff, after he turns good, he turns back to Ben Solo, that action sequence, I love it. And then instantly ruined by the Rey versus Palpatine BS action sequence. I hated it. With
the double lightsabers kind of thing.
Just like, okay, your big finale is I'm going to reflect lightning back into your face. Like, haven't seen that before. You know, now there's just more of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just always keep thinking about stuff and go, oh, that's cool. Like, if you kind of write it all down on paper, you go, oh, that's cool. But they're just sort of, they're just some sort of, the thing that sort of look weird to me. Like, I don't know. Is Maz Kanata a puppet in this movie? She doesn't seem to be as expressive as she is in Force Awakens. She looks kind of... I don't know whether it's because she's just in daylight the whole time. She just looks weirder. Like, she doesn't look as good as she did in Force Awakens.
You know, that never... I gotta give it a look. I will, to answer your first question, I have no idea if she's CGI or a puppet. But as far as comparing her to, like, let's say the Force Awakens, I gotta take a... Because obviously the Last Jedi... doesn't count.
No.
She's like a hologram for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta take a look. Well, she didn't have much to do, just like any other character other than like Rey, Finn, and Poe. Like, she didn't really have much to do.
No. They were just sort of like put in places. I mean, I know that there was a lot of like, I think we've touched on this before. We've got to put some characters around that Carrie Fisher footage, and we got to ground some people at that base, and she's going to be there. So we've got to put some people for her to talk to in, and you know, obviously Rose being the one who got the short end of the stick of that the most, that she got kind of stuck there, and even like oh, Leia says I have to stay here and look up Star Destroyers or something. It's like, all right, let's just right away for her to be there. Like, oh yeah, poor old Rose gets shortchanged, and then
like. Rose in that movie is just like, are you familiar? How can I, what am I trying to say? It's like, because she said that line, you like drew attention to the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? Like, there's the elephant in the room, and then there's someone who goes like, hey, did you notice so-and-so's like zippers down? Like pointing out like the embarrassment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you should be embarrassed she's barely in this movie. And then on top of that, you're going to like have her say that line, you know, like, why are you not in the movie? Oh, Leia wanted me to stay here.
Yeah.
It's like, just don't even say that, dude.
Like,
like,
you've still got
you're drawing attention to your foul up.
But you've still got a complete third act after Leia dies where you can do anything with her, and you still barely do anything with her. Like, she could have done 10 billion things in that battle, otherwise, rather than just sort of running up with a gun in one or two shots. And yeah, I mean, I've touched on that before. Like, I think she should have been leading the fleet. Like, she could have taken the Tantive 4, and they could have, like, hey, you did all that work on Star Destroyers. Why don't you get up in that Tantive 4 and you can be Gold Leader and you can lead the fleet. You can help Poe up there. And bang, all of a sudden she's in twice as much. She's in the action. She's involved. That doesn't affect any of her Leia scenes. She's still there. Leia's already dead by that point. You move on. Anyway, you know what? It is what it is. It's a Star Wars movie. It's got some great bits in it. It's got some not so great bits in it. And we're going to get more movies. The stakes aren't as high anymore. And it's not the be-all and end-all anymore. And I don't know. I think we'll get the further... I don't know. What do you reckon? Do you think one day we'll get the further Rey adventures? Where do you go from here? Do you do episode 10? Do you just start from a new episode 1 somewhere else? What's the Johnny solution?
I definitely, if lightsaber to my head, I would say you're gonna get Rey, Finn, Poe adventures 10 years from now, because that's what Lucasfilm does. You know, like you put out Star Wars, you say no more, and then 10 years later, you're doing something else. They've done that to us basically twice already. So I do think that, however, the box office will dictate. So we are now no longer, and I hate to say this, but when you really think about it, Star Wars by definition has been like the Skywalker saga. Okay, you're not or in that universe. Okay, so Rogue One didn't have a Skywalker in it, but it was in that universe. You had Vader, et cetera, et cetera. Now you're gonna have Star Wars movies that are called Star Wars movies. They're definitely gonna have the Force. They may or may not have Jedi and Sith. They'll probably have lightsabers, right? So you're going to have Force, you're going to have lightsabers, you may or may not have Jedi Sith, but you're going to have Force users.
Yep.
But other than that, they're basically going to be space movies. You know what I mean? And space movies, Josh, can fail. Yeah. They can lose money. So if these movies lose money, you're going to see Rey, Finn, and Poe a lot faster than you think.
Are we going to have to accept that we're going to live in a world where Star Wars becomes something like, I know, like the X-Men movies, where like every other one is good, and you're just like, well, occasionally you're going to get some absolute duds? Or is it going to be more like the Marvel movies, where it's like, hey, on average they're all pretty good, everyone has a good time, and then every now and then you get a really good one? But even they can fall into a rut until like a Ragnarok mixes it up or something. Like, is it just by the weight of having so much stuff that eventually you're just going to get up and down inconsistencies?
No, you're gonna see bad Star Wars films. You haven't seen the worst Star Wars film yet, and you may not have seen the best Star Wars film yet. But you have not seen the worst Star Wars film yet. It's coming. Someone is writing it now. I guarantee you that.
You think that in this like lockdown world, Lucasfilm's just sent a bunch of like, hey, everybody come to me with your Star Wars pitch, because when this all blows over, we got a lot of catching up to do. We got a big hole in our budget here that we gotta blow out. And I think when I was on the Bad Motivators last week, we were talking about this, just saying, well, in a different world, like Solo 2 would be the movie that would be coming out in December. Like, that would be their Star Wars movie that would be, if everything had gone to plan, the movie cycle would probably be Solo 2. And that even though it didn't do amazing at the box office, if it existed, like if they were just like, we're going to make it anyway, it'd probably do pretty well, I think, coming out December after all of this. Like, I think it would have been too risky to do, but like in the world now where it's like everyone's desperate for entertainment, and to have a Star Wars movie out in December, I reckon a Solo 2, it'd do well. It'll do better, I think, than the other one did.
Yeah, maybe, because the popular opinion is like marketing and timing kind of like ruined Solo. But I will say this though, and this holds extremely true for the Marvel movies. Origin stories sell. Origin stories of any character sell. It's that follow-up movie, aka Ant-Man and the Wasp. You know what I mean? Or Thor 2. Now, shout out Taika Waititi, who saved the Thor series with Ragnarok. But like, what was it? Thor: Dark World? Terrible.
Yep.
Terrible movie. The first Thor was great. Origin story. You know what I mean? Very rarely do you have a Spider-Man 2 and I'm talking about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. That was just as good, if not better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very rarely do you have those.
Winter
So,
Soldier
Solo
is
2,
good though.
What's up?
Winter Soldier, good though.
Right, but Winter Soldier was they completely flipped the genre. It became more of a spy movie. That was genius writing and directing. So it wasn't like a cookie cutter Captain America movie. They completely changed the scope and the genre.
Yeah,
like it went from an action adventure origin story to like a spy movie. So they kept it fresh and innovative, and I give them a lot of credit for that. Now, Iron Man is your best example, because those movies just kept going downhill.
Yep.
Iron Man 1, phenomenal origin story. Iron Man 2, it was okay. You're like, that's still cool to watch the suit do cool things. Iron Man 3, hot garbage. Literally, if you remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Like this Taika Waititi Star Wars movie is like, it could be anything. Like I like that it's an absolute perfect choice to bring him out. Very popular, everyone loves him, and we'll keep people guessing as well. Like people are like, well, this could be just anything. Who knows? I mean, do you think it's the 2022 Star Wars movie? Like, there's nothing. This is all we got. Like, this is the closest hint to anything that we've got. Like, he's the only director's hat in the ring.
Yeah, it has to be, Josh, because you're not going to be able to keep it secret. As we've learned, They can't keep casting. They can't keep anything secret. So you're not going to have someone out of the blue say like, oh, by the way, here's a trailer for my movie. My name is Ryan Johnson, and I wrote this movie. It's like, no, it's clear that they had to announce Taika Waititi, because very soon you're going to be hearing Taika Waititi is looking for locations. He's building sets. He's casting this person. This script is getting doctored by this person, and oh no, he called Frank Oz. Is it a Yoda or a character? Like, what's he doing? So it's like, now people are going to be, he's not going to be able to stay quiet.
You got to,
they basically had to announce it.
It feels like one of those announcements that, if we knew Celebration was happening, they would have sat on it a little bit longer if possible. But it was kind of like, well, it's May the 4th. Celebration ain't going to happen by the looks of things. Let's just put it out now. You might have been able to keep it on the down low for a few more months. But again, it's like, it's 2021. What are we in now? 2020, 21. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's all going to depend on schedule and stuff. But who knows what they're cooking up down there. I don't know. You think they'd have a few more irons in the fire, really?
You think they have more or they don't?
I think they do. But that, I think they're just a bit gun shy about announcing stuff, because, they've fallen on their face a few times before with that, and things hasn't quite worked out. But I think there's definitely some ideas and stuff down there. But I don't know. I just want to pivot now. I've got you on. I want to get your expert opinion on things. People know that you obviously one big fan of movies, got a lot of pop culture knowledge, have a bit of a performance background yourself. You'll have a bit of that. Star Wars gets derided by some for his acting. I think the sequel trilogy's had probably the best acting of all of it. Do you have a particular acting performance in Star Wars that you think is like the one? Or a particular actor? Like, do you kind of go, that's, even in the case of like genre acting, is it just like when you're like, has that changed from new movies, or have I've always had one that you've looked up to?
All right, and I will fight people who disagree with me on this one.
That's a great way to start this.
For real, like, I feel very passionately. Thank you for asking that amazing question, because I feel very passionate about this answer. I want to take you back to like 1978. Okay.
Right.
You've got a space movie with a huge walking dog in it, and all your scenes are almost all your scenes are with this ridiculous looking tin can. Because I'm sure that's what they refer to it as, like the Wizard of Oz in space, right? You got the Tin Man, and you got like the Cowardly Lion. Obviously, I'm talking about 3PO and Chewbacca. And you have Sir Alec Guinness making those words ring true. Harrison Ford once said, George, you could write this blank, but you can't say it. You know who said it? Sir Alec Guinness said it. And he said it with heart, passion. He made you believe it. And he turned me into a Star Wars fan. I will never forget the scene. It is always my go-to scene with Star Wars. I would get it tattooed on my back if I wasn't so scared. When he sits Luke Skywalker down and they turn C-3PO off and he tells him about the Force. You know, I was a Jedi Knight like your father.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the Force is an energy field that surrounds and binds us and brings the galaxy together and
holds us together.
Yeah.
Yep. So that monologue, that is Star Wars. That monologue is Star Wars. And Alec Guinness made it true. He created the universe that we all believe in with that monologue. And if it was left in anyone else's hands, they most likely would have messed it up. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Alec Guinness gets enough credit for bringing reality to Star Wars. I know that sounds stupid because it's a space opera, mm-hmm. but like just grounding it in reality with that speech. And that was the greatest acting performance because it was the most necessary acting performance to the importance of Star Wars. And it was just the most authentic, and it was the base in which everything else was built, you know?
It was a pretty genius move from George Lucas, wasn't it? Because he needed that gravitas, and he needed that. Like, he obviously needed a name as well. Like, and instantly you get someone like Alec Guinness, who won an Academy Award by then and was a famous actor, and also probably in the twilight of his career anyway. So not an impossible get. But again, it's like credibility, isn't it? It was just like, I got to get some credibility in this thing because people are just going to look at this and go like, what is going on? What is going on with this thing? Yeah, that's a very good call, Johnny. And then he came back two more times as well. I'd almost have to say Hamill in Last Jedi. I think probably my favorite, even though I know that it's a performance that even he probably struggled with, but I think the struggle is kind of there. You can kind of see it. Like, I'm not, I don't have the sort of background that you do, but I mean that the moment where he, he's projecting and he sees the suns and he's about to die, and the look on his face of just that peace and purpose of like, he's reconnected, he's contributed, he knows that he's helped save the day kind of thing. I really like that. Although I don't really love him on Crate. I think he's kind of a bit of a dick when he the projection version. Like, I don't know whether he's just doing that to, like, I like the moment with Leia is really good. But even like the shoulder brush and all that kind of stuff doesn't feel very Luke Skywalker to me. Like, I kind of feel like that's almost, he's just doing it to taunt Kylo Ren because he knows it'll annoy him. Which I guess is the idea, isn't it?
Just buy time, just keep his attention away from the escape, I guess.
Yeah, I think that would be probably my favorite performance, I think. But I mean, I don't see the...
What do you think the worst is?
There's a guy, it's just one line, in Return of the Jedi, there's an A-Wing pilot who fluffs his line in it. And if you go back and see it, you can't unsee it. It's just like, it's like in the Death Star 2 battle, and they're all like, and there's just one guy who goes, copy, Gold Leader, and he just completely stuffs his line up. And that is the worst. That's the worst acting in Star Wars, I think. I don't know why they didn't do a second take on that one. That's probably my worst. But as far as like big characters go, I don't really like saying the worst ones. Let me think.
There's a lot of there's a lot of bad one-liners.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of
Huts are gangsters.
Yeah, you can't do that. A lot of it, I think, some of the acting that probably not rubs me up the wrong way that I become really aware of is all the Australian actors in the prequels. Just because I'm like, oh, there's that person from that soap opera, I know that's not their real accent, so I become really aware that they're putting a fake accent on. It's like Klieg Lars, like Jack Thompson. He's like, just because I'm so aware that he's like the most Australian guy in the world, and he's just putting this like accent on. And as you know, Johnny, accents are
Chris
tricky.
Fresh. Oh God, yeah, let's not. Sorry, you were front row for that one. I apologize in person.
Loved it
for that one. Chris Fresh, shout out Geek Dudes podcast. He told me he was a sex symbol back in the day in Australia. Is that true?
Yeah, back in the 70s. Yeah, he was. There's I think Steele might have brought this up. There's a very famous like spread in a women's magazine where he's got it all like hanging out. Showing it all. If you want to Google it, you want to see what Jack Thompson's all about. Want to see what Klieg Lars is all about. You can see it. Yeah, he's been in stuff forever. Like you just go like Australian movie, and then he has done some American stuff as well. So yeah, the Australian actors in stuff always sort of, kind of worked me the wrong way. But I think the sequel trilogy's got. I don't think there's any real duds in the sequel trilogy. I think Carrie Fisher takes a little while to slide into, get back into the groove in Force Awakens a little bit, but even that doesn't really worry me too much. I mean, I think she nails it in The Last Jedi, but I think Rian Johnson kind of pushes her a bit harder in that film.
Yeah. One-liners aside, because we can go all day with some of the worst one-liners. I'm going to I'll take a shot at someone who actually won an Academy Award.
Oh.
Yeah. And one of my favorite movies of all time is The Professional. So I'm talking about Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
Her performance as Queen, now her performance as Padme, like, was fine, right? But like her Queen Amidala was just like a walking robot. And I'm going to have to like blame Lucas a little bit for the directing there, because she was fine as Padme. Like,
yep.
She had a personality, she was animated, like, but then her Queen Amidala was just like, it just was so bad.
Like stiff as a board kind of thing.
I didn't get why she had it. Like, it was just bad. So they, again, 50-50, because clearly Natalie has talent. The Professional, she won an Oscar later in life with The Black Swan. She was fine as Padme. But like her Queen Amidala was just hot trash. That's my new phrase, by the way. For
hot trash. Copyright Johnny Grasso.
Hot garbage. Hot garbage.
I saw there was like all those like rumor mill stuff churning the last few weeks with all this Mandalorian casting and stuff, and somebody threw out the like Natalie Portman's coming back to Star Wars, and I'm just going, I don't think Natalie Portman. Yeah, I mean, Thor I can kind of see, but if she gets to be the star, which it looks like she is, she gets to be Lady Thor, which is awesome. Bring it on. Yeah. I just don't.
She's very cool.
I don't know what you could even do with Padme. Like, Natalie Portman's sort of our age now as well. Like you said, unless you get that crazy youngifying technology and do it, I don't think it would really. I just can't find a place for her in a project with Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think the sequel trilogy's got some amazing acting. Obviously, Adam Driver is an exceptionally good actor. And then, but so is like Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, all really good actors. I think it's one of those things where I think that JJ, off the back of there's a lot of reactionary stuff off the back of the prequels and the sequels where it's all like, all right, we're going practical sets, all this kind of stuff. We want, we really want the acting to be good. So I think they're very conscious of doing that, and I think they're just better actors with directors with actors.
Yeah. I'm gonna like hold my judgment on Daisy Ridley. I don't know where her career is going to go. Like, I'm curious 10 years from now.
She could be the Hamill of...
What her career is going to be like. She could be the Hamill.
The Hamill and the Hayden. Hamill, Hayden, and Ridley.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious. Like, I'm very curious because what I forget what role it was that she lost. Oh, Tomb Raider. She lost. She wasn't. Someone in the industry said she wasn't good enough to be Tomb Raider. Now, mind you, I don't know if you saw this movie.
I have seen it.
I didn't see the movie.
I have seen it.
You have seen it.
I see. Yeah, it's
hot.
It's not bad.
Trash.
No, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not that bad. It's better than the other ones. I think the lady who is Lara Croft is an Oscar winner in it. I think she.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think she's Swedish, or I'd have to double check the name, but it's actually not bad. It's closer to the video game reboot, so it's a bit more gritty. Like, it's not amazing, but it was certainly, it was one of those like, oh, I'll just put it on. It was entertaining. It was better than the Angelina Jolie ones for sure. But yeah, I think in the case of Daisy Ridley now, and probably the difference that someone like Hamill or even Hayden Christensen had, is there's just like way more potential to be in stuff like in the world, like streaming and big budget, television, all that kind of stuff. Like, you don't necessarily have to be a Harrison Ford to be successful now. You know what I mean? Like, Hamill was always compared to Harrison Ford. And Hayden probably somewhat compared to Ewan McGregor, who was a movie star as well. Daisy Ridley could easily have a very long career just doing, miniseries, the occasional film and stuff like that. We'll just have to see. But it's tough out there. It's a tough business, Johnny, as you know. Yeah. But there's always Star Wars on the table.
And I'm not rooting. I just want to make it clear. I'm not rooting against her. I'm very curious which way she's going to go. Like, it's very clear Oscar Isaac is going to be, he's already a star, He's going to keep doing amazing film. I mean, he's in the next Dune and he looks badass.
I don't know. I don't know Dune at all. I never saw the original. I never read the books. And now I'm in that kind of thing. Well, I can go into this completely not knowing anything, which is not a bad way to go in. There's no point me finding out what happens in June now. I might as well just wait a few months and see the film.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I saw the original film when I was like 10 or 11, and I saw it once, and it was like, okay, like Tron. Like, I saw it once. Like, Tron has a huge following. Dune has a huge following. I saw the movies once. They were all right.
Yeah, whatever. They're not too bad. So what do we got next? We got Mando coming up, season 2, Baby Yoda, the return of Baby Yoda. I want to just double back on that, just because it feels like we know everything. Do you feel like we know everything, or there's just so much stuff that they're just keeping closer? Like, if this stuff's getting out, there's just stuff that they're just desperately trying not to tell us. Like, what do you want to, like, apart from the stuff that like, what do you want to see?
I want to see him fail. Mm-hmm. I want to see the Mandalorian not find Baby Yoda's people. I want to see the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda together for like 8 seasons, selfishly. So I want to see him fail, because if the season arc is the Mandalorian trying to get Baby Yoda back home to his home world, well, then I want to see you fail.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, let's see what the hell Moff Gideon wants with Yoda, Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Have they become a victim of their own success with Baby Yoda? Like, is it kind of like Baby Yoda is so huge now you can't get rid of him?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm gonna consume Star Wars, but either way. But the Mandalorian to me is the Mandalorian with Baby Yoda. The only and I said that, I forget where, but whatever. I've said this a few times now. I care about the Mandalorian because he cares about Baby Yoda.
Yep.
That relationship, the fact that he loves that child, no pun intended, because he loves the child, I love the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. If we were just watching a Western, and it was like, The Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood, and it was just a revenge story, I'd watch it. It'd be cool. But what gives it its heart, its soul, is how the Mandalorian cares for the child. Yeah. And that's the dynamic of the show, and that's why I love it.
Which is also like which is like the thing that we had no idea was part of the show going in. Like, it was, all the stuff that we saw leading up when we saw the footage at Celebration, it was taking us and, taking names, getting bounties, shooting dudes, flying spaceships. It looked cool. It just completely became this deeper Star Wars. But you know what I mean? Like, it became the character instantly became more interesting. Like, it wasn't just a guy in a different colored Boba Fett outfit. It wasn't just Boba Fett by a different name. No disrespect to him.
Yeah, and to give it like an original trilogy comparison, Han Solo was popular because he would let you down, but then he'd make up for it later. Han Solo, his relationship with Princess Leia is what made him very interesting. It's like he was like, I'm all about myself. I'm the smuggler. All I care about is money. But then he kept coming back, saving the day. And and go ahead.
Even though we know the character of Han Solo, and we know that he's going to come back and save the day, it's just funny that you still want him to present himself as he thinks he needs to present himself. Even like in the young Han Solo, movie, like in Solo Star Wars story, where he's sort of like, I'm an outlaw, I'm not a bad guy, and they're just like, we know you're a good guy. It's okay. You could be who you think you need to project as, but we know deep down that you're really a good dude, Han Solo.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he just like it's not like A New Hope became the first time he did something nice. You know what I mean? Like coming back and saving his friends. He's always kind of that's always kind of how he rolls.
Right. And I remember when Solo was coming out before anyone saw it, I remember telling people, I said they better play this like life debt thing with Chewbacca very carefully, because if they show Han Solo like accepting the life debt and be like, okay, you can be like, I mean, I hate to say the word, but like butler, slave.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't know what else to say. And that's what a life debt is. Like, you save my life once, so now like I'm gonna leave my family, my world, my job, my wife and kids to be your bodyguard for the rest of your life. Like, it's indentured servitude, and it won't make Han Solo look good. So I remember saying early on, like, they better play that quote unquote life debt thing that we all kind of assumed was canon very carefully. And you know what they did? They got rid of it.
Yeah, it just became more like
Chewie's
a mutual.
with Han because he wants to be.
Yeah, it's like a mutually beneficial relationship, isn't it? Really, more than anything. Like, I need you just as much as you need me. Yeah, it's a shame. I would like to
Solo.
I'd like to see it. Like, I don't have the hashtag, but I'd like to see I'd like to see more of that. Like, I feel like it's still got legs and it's still got a place to more Han Solo adventures. Like, there's too much. The world that they've built there, and like the Crimson Dawn and Kira and Maul now and all that kind of stuff. There's just too much good stuff that they could pull out of, and they might still do it. Like, you got to have something, man. People will go. Give it to me here. Might be another chance for you to award another acting. Give it. Alden Ehrenreich could be the new recipient of the Grassos. The acting award for Star Wars.
Well, here's I'm glad you brought that up. Not the Grassos part. Our shot at seeing Solo on Disney Plus, I feel, is directly linked to the successful or unsuccessful acting career of Alden Ehrenreich, because as of right now, his movie career isn't taking off. So, the less movies, the less opportunities he has, the more likely he will be to be in a Disney Plus series, because he'll be cheap, he'll be affordable, he'll want to do it. And then let's face it, you don't like. Even if I forget his name, it's so hard to pronounce, but Chewbacca.
Eunice.
Yes. Like, even if he says no, and he's not, you can get some other tall person to be Chewbacca. Yeah. Yep. I mean, he'll say yes, but You can get anyone to play Chewbacca. And all you really need to make Solo Disney Plus series happen is Alden Ehrenreich. Like, you don't need Lando. I mean, that dude's a star.
Like, I know. He's the hard get.
His name.
Donald Glover. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is
Donald Glover,
the toughest to get.
Yeah. He's the only one that would be like an issue. Like, you know, you don't need to bring the girl back. You almost want Han Solo to have another love interest. You want him chasing someone else now. Jabba the Hutt, I hear, is out of work, so he'll be cheap.
Yeah, he's got
so
mouths
all
to
you
feed.
really need
He's got
is
one
Alden
big mouth
Ehrenreich.
to feed. Yeah, look, I don't know anything about like obviously they all signed 3 movie deals, but a movie is different to a TV show, whichever way you want to spin it. But if you need to get your name back in lights again, you want to work, and again, it's coming out of this COVID. I know we're wrapping up here, but like coming out of this COVID thing where productions have stopped and you need hits and they're going to get revenue going again and all that kind of stuff. Like, going back to the Han Solo well, even though they got burnt, I still feel like it's somewhat of a safe bet. I think if you announced it and said, "Hey, we're coming back," people would be excited. They'd be like, "Great!" Like, that movie only got more popular on streaming and home video and stuff anyway, and it still made money.
Jabba is your. I apologize for cutting you off.
No, man.
Jabba is your draw.
Yes.
Jabba's the draw.
The Hutt. Call Jabba's agent.
More about Jabba.
Get Jabba out of the hot tub. You know, let's get him out. Get him on the treadmill. Get him back to match fitness.
Like, Josh, let me ask you a question. How is a creature so feared throughout the galaxy, right? The Hutts are gangsters, you know? And he can't even move. So as long as I don't stand on top of your trap door, like, you can't get me. You know what I mean? Like,
money talks, man.
So,
but most of those gangsters are all fat guys anyway. So there's something, something's going on. It's all about who you have around you.
Right. And that's the story I want to see.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to see that too, mate. Now, big things have been happening in podcast land for you. Do you want to give us a background on what people can be expecting? You got new faces, new hosts, new brand, new name. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah. So thank you. Well, first and foremost, let me just say this. Josh Chapman is an amazing artist. This fandom is blessed with many, many artists, and Josh is one of them. So I reached out to Josh and I said, I'm going with a different direction with my podcast, and I just love what you do with Star Wars Spelt Out, and can you do a logo for me? And he did 9. He did 9 amazing logos for me, and thank you, Josh. Really appreciate it. And the podcast is called the Pop Culture Hour, and it hosts myself, Emily Lind, and Michael Pappas.
Pappas, shout out Pappas. The Trace from Clone Wars and Pappas the spirit animals, I reckon. I always wanted to bring that up.
Yeah,
we go back. You're always looking for a hustle,
You're not wrong. And the amazing Emily Lind. So it basically came down to this. Like, the Skywalker saga, ran its course. Mm-hmm. Like anyone listening to a Star Wars podcast, we have other interests. And much like the logo you designed from our premiere episode, so we're just getting everything together, and like the logo shows, it's a little of everything. It's pop culture, it's TV, it's movies, it's art, it's music, it's celebrity gossip. I'm gonna be talking about Leonardo DiCaprio and Chris Hemsworth and all the Hemsworths and all those amazing Australian actors. I'm playing to my audience, Josh. Right? all those amazing
Jack Thompson
Australian actors, Jack Thompson. And we're gonna talk about anything and everything, and it's gonna be exciting. Like, I can't wait to talk about Transformers, because Transformers has like all this new stuff happening. 2 shows and a movie. He-Man, 2 shows and hopefully a movie. Just so much. Another Batman, and I'm not embarrassed to say this, but like, I love Robert Pattinson as an actor. Like, put Twilight aside, like the dude has chops and he's good. Like he's gonna be a good Bruce Wayne Batman.
Yep.
Like, so I can't wait to passionately talk about that. Like, just and I'm very excited. I'm sorry, I almost forgot Bill Beck. So Bill Beck's our producer. He's really the man behind the curtain that makes us look good for our YouTube channel, because the podcast will also be on YouTube with a lot of visuals, and he works great with that. So shout out to Bill Beck. But Bill likes it when I talk about history. So like, I'm embarrassed to say, but like, I kind of played dumb for like all those years, like, and that was kind of part of my shtick. So like now you're gonna get like more of like the real person of who I am. You're gonna hear more about like my family, my friends. I have, for example, like I have 2 master's degrees and one of them's in history. So I'm going to draw upon that, like how history is relating to today. And Star Wars. Star Wars will always be like the first, like leading off the show, if you will, if there's Star Wars news, because that's what brought the hosts together. Like Star Wars draws from history, especially World War II. So like I have great knowledge and insight into that, and like I can't wait to share that with everybody. So it's gonna be a different me that you see, and I'm really excited to share that with Emily and Mike, because I don't even think they really know. Like I kind of put my, because I always say like I hate to read. That's like one of my shticks. Like that is legit. But the truth is, I probably read more than anyone who listens to my podcast, because I do so much of it for work. Yeah. And I'm kind of like a professional student. Like I feel like I'm always in school, always in professional development, always learning. So like I read a ton. I just don't read for enjoyment. My enjoyment is podcasting. And I like to do that for fun. And I like to turn my brain off, if you will, Yeah. And just be like the 15, even younger, 12 to 15-year-old me, just talking Star Wars with my friends. But now with the pop culture, podcast, I'm going to give a little more culture. Yeah. And I'm going to turn my brain on for an hour. And we're going to get some insight. And that's why, like I mentioned, the art, the music, the TV, the television, like we're going to have a huge show when it's Oscar season. We'll have like an Oscar recap show. Like we'll talk about, it'll be great. So I'm real excited. I'm real excited.
Yeah,
Batman,
me too.
Like Transformers, He-Man, all this stuff is new and exciting. It's coming out.
Because people like we're wrapping up here, but people go, Johnny, is Johnny just like he is in real life? And we've had the pleasure of hanging out before, and I'm just like, talking like, no, Johnny, he's dialed up on the podcast and stuff, but he's a really smart, caring, thoughtful guy, and it'll be good. Not that doesn't come out on the podcast anyway, but to give it's hard to give a little bit of yourself sometimes. You feel like you're sort of taking your guard down a little bit. But look, I'm really excited to see where it goes, and obviously Pappas and Emily are awesome. Love those guys, so I can't wait to see it. I know you've slowly dipped your feet in, but it's onwards and upwards. Watch this space.
Yes, and you can follow us on Twitter, Pop Culture Hour, Instagram, Pop Culture Hour. The podcast is called The Pop Culture Hour. So the first episode we're gonna film. Yeah, because we're gonna be on YouTube too. Pop Culture Hour. Bill Beck's producer puts on an amazing show again. So we're gonna record this weekend, and then it takes Bill about 4 or 5 days to do the amazing visuals and then we release them both on the same day, because some people like the YouTube and some people just like the podcast, so we give them both on the same day.
Nice.
So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well,
and then we have to have you on.
Oh yeah,
one of the artists of.
I'd love to. My pleasure. I mean, like I said at the start, it was crazy you haven't been on here for so long, but thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. The stars just lined up just perfectly for us to knock this out, and thank you. It's been great, and hopefully, like I said, I'll be on your podcast soon, and it won't be so long. And I'm sad that Celebration, we don't know for sure yet. It's not looking good, but when it does happen, whether it's now or later, we'll be able to get some more quality time in. Yes, absolutely. It was great, officially, quote unquote, in person meeting you in Chicago, and I'm looking forward to California. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening as always. You can find our stuff at starwarsspeltout.com, t-shirts at TeePublic and Redbubble. If you're in Australia, go to Redbubble. They're cheaper. And yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Josh.
See you soon.